Jalbert and he just stole a piece of bread to feed his child. If he can just return that bread or tell the person from whom he stole, my child is very hungry, I just needed this, I promise I cannot do this again, what can I do for you to help me restore my reputation? So restorative justice, I think, is for all, and I think particularly for those who cannot afford lawyers.
Would you go so far as to including in a judgment the requirement that the convicted rapist would have to undergo counseling?
Yes, not just counseling, but definitely not just counseling, but really extraordinary forensic therapy will be required for this convicted rapist. Right now, rapists stay in jail for the rest of their lives. There's not much restorative justice there. With respect to a child who cannot give consent, in my opinion, except that our criminal laws say that they can at the age of 12, I think a convicted rapist needs more than just counseling. He will need to undergo a lot of self-knowledge as to why this happened. And we don't have those trained to do that here.
Given my time limit, this will be my last question.
Yes,
in
ma'am.
your personal data sheet, you identified as one of your references Mr. Enrique Razon.
Yeah.
Could you explain why you put him as a reference, and what is your association with Mr. Razon?
Mr. Enrique Razon and I have actually known each other since he was a child because I was a good friend of his sister. So he has actually known me ever since he became an adult and I started working from then. I approached him on many occasions to help us with the Child Justice League and now with the Child Protection Network. We always need a lot of funds so that we can increase the number of lawyers that we have to help the child. And each time he has never, ever said no. And when we asked him to be on our board of trustees for the Child Protection Network, he said, although I'm not sure if I should take this on public TV, I cannot look at a child rapist in the eye. I might shoot him dead the next morning. So can I ask you to have my wife on our board? So we have his wife, Lizzie Razon, sitting on the board of trustees of the Child Protection Network Foundation, and both of them know how well I have administered and managed the needs that we have all around the country, not just in the Philippines, because we have child protection units also in Pakistan and in India, and how we help them administer and manage these units to help the child.
Thank you, Attorney Legarda, and good luck. Thank you, Justice.
Attorney Mejia.
Thank you, Justice Peralta. Good afternoon, Attorney Legarda.
Good afternoon, sir.
What is your greatest frustration as a lawyer?
Delay. Delay in the courts, yes. It is very frustrating, especially because the private litigant really does not understand why her or his case needs to be calendared only once a month.
Thank you. Should there be a gender perspective in deciding cases?
Well, there is substantial equality already between the woman and the man in the Constitution. There is gender perspective when it is appropriate, I suppose, like in the battered woman case, a child who may have come into conflict with the law or a child who has been sexually abused. But not all cases need a gender perspective, especially if crimes are applicable to all. Just because you're a woman or a man should not increase or decrease your penalty if you have committed an offense.
When you first learned that you will be required to submit a bank waiver, what was your reaction?
Okay lang, I have nothing to hide.
Okay. If you were in the position of Secretary de Lima, given that situation she confronted when, in the case of the departure of the first couple, how would you have dealt with the same situation?
Well, Secretary De Lima then dealt with it in a very political manner. She felt it was a decision which was based on politics, having been issued by people who had been appointed by the former president. So she treated it as a political issue and therefore rejected the decision, the order of the court. I'm not very political in that sense, and I actually don't look at justices as to who appointed them, because I find that once they have been appointed, most justices want their reputations to be preserved and not besmirched. They don't want to die knowing that their children's and their children's children do not respect them. So I probably would not have addressed it from a political point of view. Secondly, my understanding of the events, although I was at the time doing a project for the Philippine Women Judges Association, so I was actually in The Hague doing a final report for the MDG3 fund for the PWJA. My understanding was that Secretary De Lima was not actually a party to the case. And so she need not have been served a copy of the order. That's the understanding I have. And it was merely an order for addressed to the immigration with respect to the then president and first couple. So I probably would not have addressed it from a political point of view.
Is there any instance where you regretted a manner by which you handled a particular case in the past?
No. And I think it is because I treat people as fairly as possible. And in the last 12 years, I've been mostly in family law practice. And always my first concern are the children of this marriage, who did not choose to be born and who have no lawyer helping them. So I have always addressed cases from the point of view of those who are going to be the most affected and have no counsel to assist them, or no venue upon where they can vent their needs or concerns. So in the last 12 years, no, not really.
Thank you, Attorney Legarda. That will be all. Thank you,
sir.
Justice Peralta. Good luck.
Justice Lagman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney Legarda, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Now, in your opinion, did the impeachment of the former Chief Justice infringe on the judicial independence?
Yes, to a certain extent. Yes. Only because I felt that the grounds were not really impeachable offenses. Betrayal of public trust, not really. What they brought up against Corona, not really impeachable offenses. Although I did see how the prosecutors tried to weave this into a general sense of betrayal of public trust. No, I say yes also because the courts became scared that when they displease a higher authority, they will have problems in the future with respect to the decisions that they will come out with. I felt it impinged a little bit on judicial independence because the morale of the courts plunged. And many of